right, first episode. Here we go. We're gonna rock it. I should say something like, well, because you're my right-hand woman, right? I was like, you're my right-hand woman, right? You're my...
But I'm a lefty.
That's hysterical, right? You're my left hand. I gotta think about it. Left-hand woman, right?
Woman.
Yeah. You're my soulmate.
Oh, yeah.
And you're my partner in crime. Because we give brides alterations to die for.
I was going to say ride or die.
Yeah, ride or die. Welcome to Seamstress and the Bride. I am so super excited. This is our first official podcast.
Number one.
Woohoo! Yeah. So we want to tell you the heart behind this podcast, why we're doing this. Yeah, we did it. We turned the camera on. And now it's out there in the world.
Yes.
But before we do, we'll tell you who we are. So me, I am Genesis, and I got my sewing career started professionally in 2002. I used to work for Nordstrom. They took a chance on me. There's a big backstory there, but I worked for them for just shy under about 5 years. And they basically trained me in how to do everything. Alterations on starting with men's and then children's and women's. And then it wasn't until 2008 is when I actually fell into bridal. I had graduated fashion school and I left Nordstrom all at the same time, and I was freelancing from home, and that's when a bride showed up at my doorstep. I didn't know she was a bride. So I had another customer that had referred her. The customer that referred her, I had worked on her dress, and she had I believe it was lace and beads, and it was like an after five or some kind of special occasion gown. And so she's like, oh, you need to go see, this seamstress. And so during that time, I used to have the brides come and I would just do consultations in person. So I didn't know what they were bringing me. I was doing all kinds of garments. But when the bride showed up, obviously she walked in and she had this big old huge bag, and I was like, oh no, is that a wedding gown?
Yeah.
So long story short, she was willing to trust me, and I took a risk and we made it work. And she's like, I just need a hem and just a little bit taken in. And I was like, okay, trying to compare it to the special occasions that I had learned how to do before. And I was like, okay, so what's the difference? It's a bigger gown. There's just more layers, more fabric, maybe more beads or details. And I'm like, okay, it's just the next level. I was like, okay, I can tackle this. I can do it. I absolutely, the first time when I did that gown, I absolutely fell in love with the process. I was in Dallas at the time, and I had lived in Dallas for many, many, many years. And then I finally came back home here to Southern California in 2015. And then basically I was just needing a full year to kind of get my bearings. Right. I was like, okay, I didn't really grow up here. I was born here and left when I was a really small kid. And then I finally came back, and I was in 2015, it was just about kind of understanding the layout of the land, kind of where everything is, what all I need to do, and, how do I continue to pursue bridal at that point. And then, so I had gotten a couple different jobs at some bridal stores, just part-time, and just kind of, seeing how that would go. And then after that, in 2016 is when I actually started freelancing. And then I did that for an entire year. And then once kind of the demand started to arise for the service and everything that I was doing, because I was mobile at the time. I was like, okay, I got to stand out somehow. I got to, make this work. And then so I hired my first assistant, and she was helping me. And then everything just kind of kept on going. I was like, oh man, I'm going to have to build a team. And then Ashley will come in on that part, because that's when she had come in where we had started working out of my first apartment in Orange County.
Yes.
When I moved out from, my cousin's house in Riverside. And then so we were working in the first, what do we call it? The foundational, right. The kickstart.
The kickstart, yeah.
Just working out of the apartment.
You gotta start somewhere.
Exactly, yeah. So, but basically throughout my career, I just noticed there was a ton of inconsistencies in in the industry, lots of miscommunication, and that was all for lack of information in the bridal alterations industry. And so just kind of like all of that combined together really led me into like this entrepreneur journey. And so that's when I like officially kind of like started up my company, all under one roof. So I have both a bridal alteration studio. We have a sewing academy as well. That's why we're called a startup. So where we train our seamstresses from the ground up, or as we like to call them, our tailorettes. Yeah. We basically train them where they can master the program between 12 to 18 months maximum. That's how I've designed it to be. They say that it does take like 10 years. You have to at least be in your industry for like 10 years to gain the experience, the knowledge, and all of that stuff before you can become a master. I consider myself a master tailor, but let me tell you. So that term can be loosely used in the industry. Almost everybody's a master, especially if it's the older generation, which is kind of what the industry is. It's mostly all older generation. I don't think that the master is like longevity. I think it has more so to do with experience. Yeah. So my definition of a master seamstress is like, I maybe not have done every single type of alteration possible in this entire world, because like that's ridiculous. Like that can never happen. But I will figure out how to do it. I will always figure it out. Yeah. So that's my definition of being a master tailor, is because in the end, I always figure it out, right? I noticed that I had like, just building the company, that I had an obsession trying to like standardize how the alterations were being done, also with quality and a lot of consistency. I just noticed that everywhere that I had worked with seamstresses and tailors, men and women alike. There was just so many inconsistencies, and it was just a whirlwind and a mix mash mess of stuff just like happening everywhere. And when you're doing bridal, you know, there's a reason why In-N-Out, you know, they don't do chicken sandwiches, right? Because they do one thing and they do one thing well. So that's what I started focusing on, was just purely bridal. And then I started noticing like the repetition that the brides were asking like over and over and over. And even like questions that were like basic things. Yeah. And I'm like, why do they keep asking all these basic things? Because it's just the lack of information in the industry. So I wanted to be able to share what I've learned like as a business owner, like going through building a company, being in bridal alterations, also being a tailorette myself. So we've kind of branded that. We're tailorettes. That's our team. But basically, it's kind of to like tell all you brides out there that as a bride, you will go through 3 emotional phases when it has to do with your dress. I mean, obviously getting the ring on, you know, that's like probably the biggest one from the get-go. But the first emotional phase is when you're shopping and when you say yes to your dream dress. There's a lot of emotions that come with that, all good and bad, you know, because there may be some fans in your audience that, you know,
other opinions.
Yes, other opinions, stuff like that. The second emotional phase that you'll go through as a bride is when you have to come to the tailor or seamstress to get alterations. Again, there's a lot that can happen there because the gown is being modified and changed in some way. And then as far as like fit versus functionality versus comfortability, there's a lot of emotions that go into that as well. Sometimes you have to sacrifice one thing over another, and it's just like, and then in the end you got to pay for that, and it might become uncomfortable. And then the third emotional phase that you will go through as a bride is when you are actually wearing your gown and displaying it for everyone to see on the big day. And it's just like a whirlwind of you don't know what all is going to happen on that day. Yeah. You know, it's like anything can go wrong on the big day, right? You have to like expect the unexpected, is kind of how I always say.
You only get one shot.
Only get one shot, inside and not, right? And so the whole goal basically is to prepare all of you brides out there like for a great journey. So that's just kind of like a little bit of background in my story, and I'll let Ashley.
My turn.
Yeah.
So I'll start off with my sewing journey. I started being interested in sewing around my senior year of high school. My grandmother took an interest in my style and asked me why I wasn't selecting the type of garments that I liked. And so I was really self-conscious, and so she taught me how to attach sleeves to everything so that I could be more dressed up.
These are hard.
Yeah, they are. But I got them down, and so I felt more comfortable. And so I just wanted to spread that to everyone else. So I started off freelancing, still in school, and I was doing Halloween costumes and just little alterations here and there, like hems or shortening straps and sleeves. From there, I decided to go to college for it because I enjoyed it so much. So I got some more teaching of just all more techniques and what else I could use, because I felt at the time that I was more like self-taught and I wanted more of a professional, more experience.
It's always funner as a professional.
Yeah, and I picked it up and it just stayed with me. So from there I started freelancing, also working at Nordstrom, freelancing, and I got a client who had a bridesmaid's dress. So I started there. I hemmed it and took it in a little bit. From there, she referred more bridesmaids. So I kind of just started the industry, bridal industry kind of found me, and I kind of just started off with bridesmaids dresses. From there, I got a reference or referral from an actual bride who asked me to do her dress, which I was very shocked because I was like, well, you can go anywhere, right? To get your dress done. Why is she coming to me? But I tackled it. It was lace. It was beautiful. Had a lace trim. I was very excited. It became my favorite fabric, and it was my favorite, project that I did. So then from there, I looked to be a part of that industry, and I searched for what was out there that could expand my knowledge of sewing and bridal, and I found Genesis here.
Yeah, so we actually started off, our company was called SoCal Pros. Mm-hmm. We had to put like the little play on words in there, yeah. SoCal for Southern California. So but it was sew as in sewing. Yes. So I just wanted something that really like connected with my heart coming back home to Southern California. And I was like, oh, SoCal. And I was like, oh, sewing. Yeah. And then, later on, I realized that was just kind of like more of a regional name. Mm-hmm. And then so I was like, that's only going to last so long. Yeah. No pun intended for that one, so long. Right? Yeah, so we basically evolved, and now that we are doing the whole media thing with podcasts and all that, and our YouTube channel, and so we basically wanted to stay within kind of like that, I don't know what you call it, just kind of like in that name, in that spectrum, right. Mm-hmm. We wanted sewing to be tied to it kind of somehow. Mm-hmm. And then so I was like, I don't know, it's like I love to sew. And then it's just, I was like, I just need something true to who we are and love to sew and true. And then I was like, oh, that's it. I was like, that's it. So, love so true. And obviously it's, the sew as in sewing, right. SEW, love so true. Yeah. So that's kind of how everything came to be. It's really funny actually because we have, I guess, a similar work background, because
our work experience.
As Ashley just mentioned, like we both used to work at Nordstrom. I mean, this is at different locations because I was still in Dallas at the time and she was here
in SoCal.
Yeah. So we both worked at Nordstrom. I was like, we both worked at Olive Garden. Yes. We both worked at like different, probably in some kind of different spectrum, but like we did administration, like a group home. Yes. She's like, I worked in a group home. I said, I did too, for, it was like mental health. Yeah. And then we're doing this together. Yeah. And so I was like,
meant to be.
Yeah, totally meant to be. So, but we basically just wanted to share like the heart behind, why we're doing this podcast, because I mean, I'll just let you give your take on it as far as like what you see as far as the lack of information, right. The miscommunication, the inconsistencies, mm-hmm. and what brides' frustrations are. What have you seen coming into this?
Yeah, I mean, I noticed industry? All that from just being a part of Love So True. It kind of came about when I found I was being very repetitive, and I was saying the same thing to the same bride, and I'm like, I feel like a robot. I should share this so that it's out there. It was a struggle too to see the bride having to go through it and ask those basic questions, because there's nothing out there for them to go to say, oh, I know this, and this is the process I'm going to take. And so that's when I kind of felt obligated to want to make
speak
this
up.
public. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, why don't you know?
Yeah.
And then I was like thinking, if I was in that position, well, where would I go? Exactly.
Right. So just kind of like the research that I've done as a business owner and entrepreneur with kind of like that world that I'm in, you know, and everything through media, it's kind of like there's like scattered information here and there. And again, everything's inconsistent. Like there's really no standard way of anything in this industry. And just like the wedding industry in general, like inherently, like the characteristic that bridal has and the wedding industry, it's not innovative.
Right.
There's
it seems in the past to always be about tradition. It's very traditional.
Yes.
And now with everyone being a little bit modern, even like the designs lately, it's growing.
Yeah.
And somebody needs to, I guess, let people know, like there's information and there's a process, there's ways. Basically, we just want your questions answered.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like I always say, those burning questions. Yeah. That's something that we would definitely be doing in the near future, is taking questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm sure you have tons.
Yeah. So just kind of, so since we're on that topic, we'll just kind of go over the formalities. So like we plan to launch an episode at least once per week. And then we will definitely take questions, because we need to be able to, you know, answer for other brides, to save you the trouble of, you know, going through the hassle of just the lack of everything along your journey, along every step of the way. You know, we want to just make this easier for you. Really
less stress.
Yes, less stress, you know, decompress. Yeah. So, and then we may even do like some interviews and stuff. So it just kind of depends who all, you know, we can work that out with and stuff. So I think that'll be great.
Yeah.
So do you have anything else to say? That's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, just that I love what I do. Going back to my journey, it's so funny because my mom would always say that I just played with Barbies and dressed them over and over again, and I feel like I've come full circle because that's what I do for a living now.
Yeah, except we're doing it like on real life Barbie dolls.
Yes, real Barbies.
Yeah, and it's so fun. Once we like shape them up and contour them up, and
They look beautiful.
Yeah, there's like two favorite parts that I have, like when, you know, helping the bride, is like the zip that I call it. Once you do the zip, or, you know, once you get them in the gown and you can see it like molded to them. And then, you know, the whole like laying out and fluffing of the train.
That's my favorite part too.
Yeah, and then it's just like,
yeah, the like birds fly.
Yeah. And then we know, you know, it's like, oh, that was the rewarding part, right? Yeah. So obviously we love what we do. I was like, this is very, very rewarding. So we want to be able to contribute to our community, to our industry, and, you know, share the information with other tailors or seamstresses. Yeah. Other tailors or seamstresses that are out there, and, you know, basically advocate for our brides, advocate for you. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, we'll have more. So
Stay tuned.
Take care. Bye.